What's going on, NBA fanatics? This is your friendly neighborhood Memphis Grizzlies home of Memphis X, and I talk hoops. Today, I am talking a little bit about the NBA draft to get started and about the Grizzlies post All-Star break. But first, every hero needs their theme music.
Piano.
Grizz gang, go hard. Yeah. Baddest in the game, we be on one. I talk hoops, so secure. All up on the court, but we gon' score. Memphis bringing heat straight from Tennessee. Ja Morant spiking, let's go for he that MVP.
This is Memphis X with iTalkHoops. While you're here, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell to be notified every time I drop a video. I have a goal to reach 3,000 subscribers by the playoffs, and I'm going to need your help to get there. Thank you. Well, we are post All-Star break, and I'm going to tell you the truth. It is great to have the Grizzlies back playing tonight. A lot of games on the docket tonight. There will be a lot of NBA action tonight. And we have, about 25 games to go for the Grizzlies. So it's about 20 to 25 games to go for everybody. And the West, along with the East, but we're not going to really worry about the East, is really jumbled up. A lot of teams in close proximity. As you can see with the standings that I put up here, the Grizzlies are 5 games out of first place, so that's likely not going to happen. The Grizzlies are 3 games up on Sacramento, 4 games up on the Clippers, 4.5 games up on the Phoenix Suns, 5.5 games up on the Dallas Mavericks, 6 games up on the Pelicans, 6 games up on the Timberwolves, 6.5 games up on the Warriors, 7 games up on the Thunder, 7.5 games up on the Jazz and Blazers, and a full 9 games up on the Lakers. And that is about all the teams that will be competing for the play-in playoff. I think the Grizzlies are firmly going to be in the playoffs at this point. The question that most people are asking is, will they hold their number 2 spot, the spot that they've been holding for, I think, about a month, maybe more, longer. Even though they've been playing poorly, nobody in the West can catch them, or nobody in the West has been able to catch them. And the reason for that is that most of these teams are equally mediocre at this point. I mean, even the Nuggets have slowed down a little bit. But what we got is, I figure that over the next 10 games will decide a lot. And I figure that one team in the next 10 games in the West will go 8-2. One team will go 2-8. And I'm talking about the teams I mentioned. The rest of the teams will be going 7-3, 6-4, 5-5, 4-6, stuff like that. There won't be really that much ground made up because the road is still something that's a detriment to every team in the West. And then you have the injuries, like you have the Zion injury. Karl Anthony Towns will be integrating back. Kevin Durant will be coming back. Steph Curry's been injured. So you have a lot of injuries. And then you have teams like Oklahoma City and the Utah Jazz that really have I think Oklahoma City has an incentive to try to make the play-in at least. But the Jazz have very little incentive at this point to try to make the playoffs. And I feel like they'll probably be falling off a little bit after their trades. But you have a lot of teams that are really going to be trying to get the 3 and the 4 spot. Sacramento has a pretty rough schedule over the next 10 games, I believe. So if they are still in the 3rd, 4th spot after these next 10 games, I'm pretty sure they're going to hold on. I am really, really hoping that Sacramento avoids the play-in altogether and they are firmly in the playoffs and in their streak. I would really like it for their fans, their fan base, who have been very, very, very enjoyable this season. Even with their resurgence, they have the right mixture of enjoyment, humility, and arrogance that you like from teams Um, young teams or new teams that are newly good, things like that. The Clippers have been looking like one of the better teams in the West. Of course, with KD coming to team up with Booker, that's going to be interesting. The Dallas Mavericks have had, Luka back for 3 games, and they lost all 3 games. So that's something to monitor. And we don't know about the updates coming on Stephen, Wardell, Curry, and Zion Williamson. Looks like Zion Williamson's probably going to be out for another month. Steph Curry probably is going to be out for another 2 weeks. But they still have to be updated and re-examined. So that's an unknown. Kevin Durant supposedly coming back this week as early. I think the first game or 2 after the All-Star break. Steven Adams is going to be out for the Grizzlies, of course, for a couple of games. Luke Kennard is out tonight with sickness. So the injury bug is sitting out there as going to be, of course, is always a factor in these races. And, that is something that we have to, take into account as far as the things that we are looking forward to or looking at. And I really think the Grizzlies have a chance. I really have a chance to get their stuff together these last 20 games, or the games, especially when Steven Adams gets back. And the thing about it, people are saying, well, the Grizzlies look so bad without Steven Adams. The thing about it is, when Steven Adams is not playing for the Memphis Grizzlies, it fundamentally changes the Grizzlies. Now, this would not be a big problem if the Grizzlies changed the way they play to adjust to Steven Adams being out. But for the sake of repetition and things like that and continuity, the Grizzlies purposely play basically the same way with Steven Adams and without Steven Adams. And that is why you probably see them put in Xavier Tillman a lot for Steven Adams instead of Brandon Clark or Santi Aldama, because he can best simulate what Steven Adams does as far as the offensive rebounding, the passing out of the high post and stuff like that. He can best simulate that amongst their bigs. And so they would probably be doing a lot better without Steven Adams if they fundamentally changed the way they played during the stretch that they didn't have Steven Adams. But I understand that you have a young team and you have the playoffs coming, and Steven Adams is coming back. And as long as you have Bane, Ja, and Jaren, it's only so bad you're going to be, regardless of if you're not playing at your optimal way. I mean, if they were running, Jaren Jackson, at center with a shooter, like maybe an extra shooter in the lineup, like Santi Aldama, they could probably be running a different, but that would fundamentally change the way that they play. So, no Steven Adams tonight, and we play probably the best, or if not, the second best big man in the league in Joel Embiid, the leading scorer in the NBA, a guy who torched us for 35 the last time we played him, and we defended him great that game with Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson. If you remember, Jaren Jackson had the block at the end of that game, one of the greatest blocks I've ever seen in the NBA, and I'm talking about 30, 40 years, 30-plus years of watching the NBA. One of the greatest blocks I've ever seen in the NBA, Jaren Jackson Jr. So we're going to see, hopefully, Jaren Jackson's all-star experience. We'll have the refs being a little bit kinder to him, and hopefully he can hold up, because there is no way that Xavier Tillman, Brandon Clark, or Santi Aldama are going to be able to be anything but a speed bump to Joel Embiid. So, guys, remember the game starts early, 6:30 p.m. It's on the East Coast. I think it's on national TV. So, enjoy the game. Hopefully we can start this post-All-Star break run with a win. Peace.